Hi, Anna Karen. I'm happy that you sent us this essay. Let's see what you wrote. I know your exam is coming up. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, my first feeling is that you spent a lot of time on your introduction. Take a look at this. It's the same length as your first body paragraph. So to me, that says one thing. It says that you probably spent too much time on it, and that the time you spent on your introduction could have probably been better spent developing your body paragraphs and making sure that they're accurate in terms of development, in terms of grammar, lexis, and so forth. So as I've said in the past, the introduction doesn't need to be really long. It should be shorter than your body paragraphs. And it really just needs to be made up of a couple of different elements. So it needs to rephrase the topic. It needs to explain what the dilemma, what the debate, what the issue at hand is. And then it needs to present your position. And your position is the answer essentially to whatever question or command that they give you. So once you accomplish those three things, you don't really need to spend a lot more time on it. You need to just get in there and start writing your body paragraphs, okay? All right, so that's the first thing that I wanted to bring up, but let's actually see what you wrote in your essay. Gender equality has been a controversial topic within the last years. Consequently, experts have debated the reasons for a recent trend of changing roles in families. This situation has had a dramatic increase recently, referring to those families in which the mother is the sole breadwinner, while the father is he who brings up children and upkeeps their home. This is the wrong word, upkeep. Okay. I believe this has a positive impact on families, and the main reason involved in this issue could be gender equality because through it, women are entitled as much as men to choose what they want to do for a living. This essay will address the reason for this trend and analyze the positive impact on families using examples from the United Nations to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, it's lovely. It's really good. It really, really is. I know that you've been concerned the last couple of essays about your writing. I thought you did a really lovely job with this. Could you have shortened it? Yeah, you could have. Although it did have a really nice flow. So what I'm suggesting to you is just kind of editing this a little bit so that you have a little more time to write this paragraph, okay? What could you have taken out? Well, that's really difficult to say because you would essentially have to change a number of features of this introductory paragraph. So I'm not really sure how to exactly answer that. Yeah, I can't really answer that. I would have just advised you to kind of get to the crux of the matter a little quicker, okay, a little more quickly, so that you can just kind of move on after your introductory paragraph. But on the whole, it was well written, so okay, I want to move on. To begin with, gender equality plays a crucial role in this issue. That is largely because people are free to decide whether they want to become a professional and execute that profession or stay at home. To some extent, in Western countries, it is accepted that men would rather take care of children than work in a company, whereas women prefer to work instead of being at home. For example, recent empirical research by the UN reported that in developed countries, the number of families in which women became the providers, you didn't need all these commas here, especially this one, has increased more than 40% for the last 5 years. Therefore, it is clear that this phenomenon is occurring, yet this issue could be seen as impossible due to the lack of gender equality in some countries. Okay, I'm not going to comment on it currently. I do want to go on and see what you wrote in your next paragraph. Although this trend is becoming natural in some parts of the world, it must be analyzed whether this carries benefits or drawbacks. Firstly, it might be positive because women and men have, not are having, have the opportunity to decide what to do. Okay, what do you mean by that? Okay, get into some detail, express it, explain it, develop it a little further, okay? Secondly, both can experience how it feels to work and earn money and how it is to stay home with plenty of tasks to do but without a salary. This interchange of role usually results in benefits for families because men and women would value what her or his partner is doing for their families and halt discrimination for being just at home. Okay. To illustrate that, a study from the UN analyzed the effect after the mother and the father experienced both roles, and they stated that if they had known how, careful with your grammar here, if they had known how the work of each one was. Now, grammatically, that's more correct, but it's not ideal. Okay? Although I know what you're trying to say. Basically, what you did here, how it was the work of each one, is you kind of made it like a, not really a question, it's just a little awkwardly formulated. Let's see. And they stated if they had known how the other's work was. That's probably a cleaner way of writing this. Many arguments would have been avoided since through that experience they obtained mutual understanding to value house chores as much as duties at the job. Thus, it has been proved, careful here with your grammar. Thus, the importance and the positive impact of this trend in families has been proved. Okay, that is grammatically more accurate. All right, I like that paragraph. I thought you did a nice job with it, even though there were a couple of areas where the grammar was a little awkward. It was just those two areas, really this and this one here. To conclude, I firmly deem that the tendency of changing roles in families has been particularly caused, I wouldn't want that comma there, as a result of gender equality, and this development has been fairly positive at the moment. It is predicted that the percentage of men involved in household, you want the word household here, chores will substantially increase during the following years. Okay, so Anna Karen, the good news is that I actually really like this essay. It definitely feels absolutely on topic. It felt very natural, so I thought it was a very, very good essay. I think, in fact, it's more in tune with the first essay I saw where I said that you were writing at a very natural kind of level and your use of language was very natural. So I was really quite happy with that. It read very easily. There were only a couple of parts where you could see that I stumbled a little bit. I had a little difficulty. Having said that, I still would have liked a little more development here. Okay, I'm going to stick to my initial opinion. I think you could have done less here, and I think it would have been more important to say a little more here. Why? Because it says what could be the reasons. So they are essentially telling you that they think there could be more than one reason. So you know, the thing is I've had a lot of chats with examiners about this, and some examiners say, well, no, you know, if you've got one reason and it's really well expressed, then that's fine. Yet there are some examiners who say, look, I take it very literally. It says, if it says reasons, I have to look at reasons, plural, not just one. And there's no clear-cut answer which is correct. So my advice to you would be to be safe and just take it literally. If it says reasons, give reasons, not just one, but give another reason as well. So besides gender equality, could there be any additional reasons why families might choose this? Okay. I mean, I can think of one. Maybe you could talk about the rise in costs of childcare. And so families see, you know, it doesn't make sense for us to be a dual income family, and spend, you know, the equivalent of one income on childcare. So the person with a lower income stays home. So that could be a potential reason here. Okay, and because more and more women are earning more and more money in the workplace, then, you know, it falls to the men to do the childcare. So you could have said something like that, just to provide another reason. So I do want you just to be cautious, and when you see these plurals, pay attention to them and basically respond to them. Okay, so when it says reasons, try to avoid giving one. You may have an examiner who says, you know what, it's really fully developed, it was analyzed, it was, you know, appropriate. But there are some examiners who will take it literally. And like I said before, there isn't really a cut and dry rule about this, even in the world of examiners. So it's something that's up to interpretation. But I think your safest bet is to go with 2 reasons. So again, maybe edit this a little bit, cut it down so it's a little shorter, so you could spend a little more time on your body paragraphs. In general, that's a good rule of thumb to have, okay? But I was really happy with this. So I want to go on to your task 1, okay? All right, so here we've got the rainfall for the countries of the UK. Let's see what you wrote here. Okay. The line graph illustrates the level of rainfall in millimeters across 3 regions of the UK in 2018. Overall, the lowest level of rainfall was in February in Scotland, likewise in April in Wales, whereas the highest level was broadly similar in March in Scotland, in July in England and Wales, in October in Scotland, and in December in England. Okay, hold on. March in Scotland, July in England and Wales, October in Scotland. Okay, fine. Throughout the year 2018, the level of rain among these regions fluctuated, not was fluctuating. Okay, it's a little detailed for an overview. As you can see, I had to read it a couple of times. You had a lot of data, not really data specifically in terms of number, but you did mention a lot of points in the line graph. And so I thought you could have maybe done a little less there. What could you have done instead for an overview? Well, you could have looked at the overall average. So for example, I think it would have been absolutely appropriate to note that on average, England had the highest rainfall of the 3 countries. Okay, that was one thing you could have done. Or you could have said that throughout the year, the lowest rainfall was recorded in Scotland in February, and the highest rainfall, well, I guess you've got a couple of points you can look at here, was also in Scotland in March and October. And then that's it, really. I mean, you could also argue that maybe it was the UK, maybe it was Wales too, but you know, maybe that's why you might want to avoid something like that. But again, you know, your data has to be, your overview has to be just a general overall image and overall picture of what you're looking at. So if it were me, I would probably say that on average, England had the highest rainfall of the 3, yet in all 3 regions, there was great fluctuation throughout the year. And then I'd be done with it. I wouldn't even go into the highest, the lowest, or anything like that. And that's more than enough for an overview. Okay? So, yeah, this was, again, I would have edited this. Let's take a look now at your details. Scotland was the region where there was the most fluctuation within the year. That's true. It began with around 120 ml in January, dropped dramatically 100 times in February, and reached a peak of 140 ml in March. After that, the level was fluctuating between 40 and 135. That's fine. You didn't tell me where the end point was, but I actually don't mind. You covered all the key points. I typically, when I see a line graph like this, where it gives you a year or it gives you like a period of time, there are certain points that I think are important to mention. For me, the important points, I mean, it's just like a movie, really, if you think about it. When you want to hear the summary of a movie, you want the beginning, you want the end, and you want just the highlights throughout the movie. Well, it's the same thing here, really. So you want to know the beginning, you want to know the end, and you maybe want to know some of those key points. So if we're talking about Scotland, for me, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just those 5 points, and that's enough for Scotland. Okay? Okay, let's see. But you pretty much did that. The only thing that you kind of did that I wanted a little more is that you essentially stopped talking about the data in any sort of specifics in March. And I wanted a little more than that, because really, if you just cover 1, 2, 3, then you've left like 9 months where all I have for those 9 months is a range. So I would have liked a little more information. Okay, let's see. Wales started the year with nearly 50 ml, increasing, you want an ing here, not an ed, increasing slightly and decreasing, you mean decreasing down, not decreasing up. That's a little strange. So increasing slightly and decreasing down to 25 ml in April, its lowest level of rainfall, whereas it reached the highest level with 140 ml in July. In August, the level plunged by 100 times and remained steady until October. During the last bimester, it, give me a noun here, give me a subject, it rose again over 100, it rose again to over 100 ml and fell down half ml. What does that mean? It fell down half ml. Do you mean it fell to 50? Because that's not really how we would say that. I don't know really what you're trying to say. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that means. Let me just double check. We're talking about Wales, and Wales is the, yeah, so that's what you meant. Okay. All right, so since we're talking about Wales, how could you have said this? During the last bimester, it rose again, or you could have said figures rose again to over 50 ml and fell to half at the end of the year. Done. Okay? And that's it. England was the region where there was the least fluctuation. Its level went down and up. Careful with this kind of expression. Its level went down and up from 75 to 140. Here I would have liked a different expression. I would have liked its level ranged, or rather its levels, plural. Its levels ranged from 75 ml to 140. In comparison to Scotland and Wales, it represented the more stable level. Despite having fluctuations in the first semester, there was a downward trend, reaching in June the lowest level with 75 ml, and in the second semester there was an upward trend, having the highest levels 135 and 140 in September and December, respectively. Okay, that's fine. I have absolutely no problem with your description of England. I thought you did well there. So in general, I thought it was a very good set, so you should feel good about it. I know you've been feeling frustrated over the last couple of essays you've been doing, but here I feel like how can I say this? I feel like you've been making progress in the course and also bringing back the elements of your own writing style. So I see these two separate things kind of coming together. So you should feel really good about this, okay? You do have another set. So go ahead and get it started. I want you to feel good about this. I want you to feel confident. You're doing great. So go ahead and get that next set back to us. Do consider some of the stuff I've been saying in this essay correction, especially as far as the introduction is concerned, okay, in your task 2. And some of the feedback in this as well, okay? So let's see that next set of essays. I'll be waiting for them. Good luck.